I ain't never been that close to that.
No. What is it, 35, 45, 40 miles an hour?
Yeah,
And
I know.
We're like this close.
You guys are great. What's wrong with me?
I don't have to be faster than the bear. I just got to be faster than him. Oh. Where's animal control?
Kurt's the only smart one.
I know. Where's animal control?
Huh?
Where's animal control?
Yeah. You know what? They're here all the time. These bears come down on Fridays as the trash day.
Is that an animal right there?
That's a dog. Dog say, what the hell you did in my house?
I know, right? Is the owner of this house out here yet?
Yeah, there's a dog right there. Is that a Doberman or what do you call those dogs?
Rottweiler? Looks like a Rottie.
There's no food back there, I don't think so. Usually come back out.
So that gets your adrenaline pumping.
Where's my truck at?
I know, right? Mine's unlocked.
We should have set up for a press conference for that bear.
I know, right? Stick our mics.
Press conference for the bear.
Hey, yo, boo boo.
Yeah. Boo boo.
Where is it? Oh, here he is.
Coming?
Yeah.
Here we go, Jake. Jake, coming this way.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll do a recap for you. Oh, but see all the news teams here. Bears just walking. We'll get back to it. Serious. Can I get this up serious?
I might cover your shot. Why did you yell at me to cover your shot? Oh, you're up there? Oh, sorry. You're the smartest one here. You're protected.
You live around here? Right there?
No, down the other way.
Oh, yeah? You see this often?
Last year I saw it once, but see this bear's a little bit sick because his eyes are all cloudy, or her eyes are all cloudy. And you know how bears, they walk, they're all smelling.
Right.
This one isn't smelling. It was on that porch right over there, and it stumbled down the stairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the bear's a little bit sick.
Ah.
I wish animal control.
parking garage there, Jake.
Yeah, definitely.
Through here. Or is that the city?
City.
Damn it. Mike's in the house.
Thank you for replying. However, your helicopter
over to you people. Let's see. What we're going to do is we're going to do the audience favorite. I want you to make noise for the People's Choice Award, okay? Let's hear it for Reagan. Let's hear it for Kenny. All right. Simmer down now. All right. For Lana O'Day. And for Amanda Shaw. Well, I think we know which one that is. Okay. Now we have the tabulation. Where is it? What's right? Uh-oh, there's a tie. There's a tie between Kenny and Lana. So we're going to have another 15-second grease-off. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go slide when you're going on the corner mile. Go slide when you're going on the chicks on time. The chicks are scream, that's a cream. The grease of lightning. Grease is the word. All right, that's enough grease. Kenny, you're turning green. Something's wrong. Kenny, I've got that checked. You're turning green, buddy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go back to the judges. All right. Let's hear what judges say for Lana O'Day. Lana O'Day, 9, 9, 9, 9. 10. All right. Now let's hear it for Kenny. 10, 10, 10. Kenny is over there. All right. Now we present the People's Choice Award. We're presenting the People's Choice Award to celebrate our winner.
I worked hard for that.
Okay. The fourth place, this is what they get. They get a commemorative bottle of Moet Chandon, and our the runner-up is Lana O'Day, and here comes the champagne. Lana, they're going to crown you with this big ball. Actually, it's a lot of balls. That's nothing new for you, Lana. Although they may be tucked away, they can come out at any moment. All right? And our other third place goes to, Lana's coming down. Here. We hereby, Lana, the runner-up, in case Kenny will not be able to perform his duties as head greaser of the polls, we will have Lana take his place. And thank you also to Reagan. There's a bottle of champagne for you here. And to Amanda Shaw, another great bottle of champagne. Thank you, ladies, for the champagne. And now, is everyone, wait, are we handing out the poppers? Not those kind of poppers, people. There's other kinds of poppers, right? There are. We got them ready to go. We're going to announce the winner. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the winner, our first place winner for the 2020 Greasing of the Polls is Kenny. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming out today, and I'm going to celebrate this wonderful occasion once again. We'd like to thank Allred and the Wallace and Nesta, Moet Chandon for returning to our annual celebration, and we also have to thank, oh my gosh, Badass Ballooning Company for this insane installation. We also have to thank Leroy Jones and his original Hurricane Brass Band, the Marie Antoinettes and the Mystic Crew of Femme Fatale. Our wonderful guest judges, Desiree Ontiveros, David Nola, Trisha Cancilla, Wild Wayne, and Chef John Foltz. Our fantastic greasing contestants, Reagan Charleston, Thomas, Kenny Lopez, Shaw, crew of Cork, crew of Nomtok, Christian Sony and Mark Romig, Chad Cork at Royal RV and AV, and Lauren Gervais at Royal AV, and the Lawrence Police Department 8th District, and Troxy Mink Productions. Come back and help us out next year. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I'm Brian Batch. I'll be here next year. Kick off the Roaring 20s in a great fashion. See you next year, Friday the 12th. Stay warm, stay safe, and do everything you can to spread the love of Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Have a good Mardi Gras.
Not yet. But
You're gonna keep
I will. I'll keep looking. I'll interview him. Yeah.
Well, do you ever wake up and you feel just a little more tired than you think you are? Take a look at this, a big bear in California, and he was a sleepy one, Ron.
Well, now that I think about it, if he was a big bear, which he was, shouldn't he have been hanging around Big Bear Lake?
Yes, he
Mike?
should have.
Instead, he's hanging out in Monrovia, which, I've heard of that town. It's a suburb of L.A. It's not far from Pasadena. Never been there. I've never driven through, never seen any pictures. Looks like a beautiful area. It's right up against the San Gabriel Mountains. And when you're only, 4 or 5 blocks away from the foothills of those mountains, I guess you shouldn't be shocked to see the occasional wildlife.
And Ron, I couldn't believe when I saw this.
This
they were
guy.
getting this close.
Right.
To the bear there. I mean, it wouldn't take much for this bear to start charging.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But as you said, he seemed kind of, slow moving. I mean, it is the hibernation time of year.
We didn't catch him on his best day.
No, we did not. He wasn't exactly ferocious. There was a dog that was keeping a real close eye on him through the window of the home that you just saw there in the background. The dog was looking through the window, through the shades, trying to keep track of all animals moving about. It was really pretty crazy, Mike. And the funny thing about it is, these are pictures from our 7 a.m. hour.
Yep.
3 hours later, it's still going on.
It is still going on. And last check that we saw was that the bear was sleeping in a backyard. And now we don't have a shot anymore because, Sky Fox there says, we've had enough.
That's correct.
But there's a great look there of the Los Angeles area.
Boy, the Green Hills, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to get quite a bit of rain this weekend.
I know. I saw that.
Then you know what happens, Mike? It's so great when we get that late February, early March rain, because then those wildflowers in the desert,
true.
No prettier time of year here in the Sonoran Desert than about 2 to 3 weeks from right now. And sure enough, right on target, right on time, we get what looks like could be a pretty good rainstorm late tonight into tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm expecting unfortunately, some rainouts for the first weekend of spring training. If it does rain all night and into the day, like they said,
Right.
I feel bad for the visitors. They saw all our great weather the last couple of weeks, and then they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did we just get had?
I know. Well, at least we made it through Phoenix Open week.
That's
Sometimes
true.
that can be a little bit of a question mark.
That could be.
We actually just have a little bit of fun. It was 7 years ago today that we flew Sky Fox overhead of some of our spring training facilities because you woke up to what looked like on our morning show snow. Snow all over the desert. Well, it was actually something called grapple.
Yeah, grapple.
We were technically required to call it grapple, but when you looked at it from the air, it looked like it had snowed all over the place. Now, we're not going to have anything like that, but we are going to get some rain.
Yeah.
Hopefully that stuff can push out of here by mid-afternoon tomorrow, and they can get most of those games underway.
Yeah, so that's what we're hoping for there, no doubt. In a little bit, we're going to show the full Chris Wallace interview that you just had this morning.
Right.
But let's show everybody this new Real Clear Politics polling average. And this is what you're taking a look at right now, as Bernie Sanders does have the lead at 27%.
Okay, now this is what to me is so fascinating. You're going to hear this in just a few moments here now from Chris. But take a look. So you got Bernie Sanders with a wide lead. He has the left lane of the party, although watch Elizabeth Warren. Everybody seemed to say that she had one of her best, if not her best, of all the debates there in Vegas. Now, can she pull 15%? Can she pull 16, 17%? We'll see. But the bottom line is this: Bernie Sanders' support is strong enough that nobody in the center lane can touch him. Joe Biden is in the number 2, almost the pole position. He's in the number 2 slot, but Chris and I actually discuss whether or not his campaign is in its final days. I know it seems incredible, but Joe Biden himself has said that I've got to win one of these states, and it's got to be South Carolina. He's set himself up for the firewall, and if it doesn't work out, then where do those vote? If you had almost 20% of voters nationwide, would most of them go a Buttigieg direction? Would most of them go a Bloomberg? If they settled on, say you even took 10 points from Biden, not all 17, and gave them to Bloomberg, then you're in a tie, Sanders and Bloomberg. And I actually think, Mike, that's where a lot of the pundits thought it was going.
Yeah.
Until the actual debate performance, and now we don't have the narrative that it's a two-man race at all.
Yeah, so this poll had to be taken before the debate, right?
Yeah,
right. Oh, okay,
right.
so I would like to see a post-debate poll because he did not show up for it. He was there, but he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it takes 2 or 3 days for that kind of stuff to kind of filter through the polling, but we should see it by Sunday. And that will be very interesting because Bloomberg has been in a strong position. Will he, would he lose 3 or 4 points based on one debate performance? It is possible. And if those 3 or 4 points were to go to, say, a Biden, maybe he can actually still pull off that win in South Carolina. But right now, his huge lead in that state. He had maybe the biggest lead in any state in South Carolina, and it's almost evaporated.
And look at how things can change. I mean, before this all started to happen, people started saying, in the very beginning, oh, Biden's going to get the nomination. Biden's going to get the nomination.
Right.
As soon as he said he was going to run, now it's just like, he can't find a win.
Yeah, I know. He just, good luck finding a positive story or a positive angle about the Joe Biden campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been a sort of a downward spiral, even though he knew, the polls had indicated he wasn't going to do particularly well in Iowa. It is so interesting. Iowa, despite all the problems they had, and cross your fingers, we won't see that in Nevada. But they already have announced they will not. They don't believe have the results for us on Saturday night. They are saying, give us a little more time to count it all up and make sure things are good. So hopefully we can wake up Sunday morning and see how it went. But they had this huge turnout for the early voting. They have to merge that with what's going on with the caucuses. Mike, I say it's just about time.
Get rid of them.
Get rid of the caucuses. Let people vote. Have a paper trail so you can keep track of all the ballots or, some kind of a card, etc. And get those votes counted, get them into the computer, and let's be done with it.
Thank you.
Nobody ever wants an Iowa situation.
No, they don't. No, they don't. And, well, today's the last day of President Trump wrapping up his West Coast swing.
Yeah.
He really, he had a rally out here. He had a rally in Colorado yesterday, and he's going to close it this afternoon with a rare afternoon rally in Las Vegas.
Yeah, might as well. He's got that nice Trump Tower hotel.
Yes, he does. That's where he was been staying the last 3 days.
Yeah, right in Vegas. I have a feeling they probably, he probably has a room, that he likes there at the hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know, one of the higher floors, corner view. I'm just guessing.
I think he gets a free breakfast too.
Yeah. So life's pretty good when you're in Las Vegas and you have frankly, one of the more spectacular hotels. By the way, that is about the only hotel, one of just a handful, that doesn't have a massive casino when you walk in.
Oh, that's
on
true.
The ground floor.
That is true.
It's really an interesting place.
Yeah, that
to
is.
go see. But anyhow, he's had a good week out here in the West. People who surround him in Washington say it's about the best thing for him is to get him out of the swamp of D.C. because he loves it, whether he's in Phoenix or Colorado Springs, or doing a rally somewhere in New Jersey. He really feeds off that crowd.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you get to see that so much. All right, Ron, let's go. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go for it.
Okay.
Let's show everyone your full Chris Wallace interview. I love when you guys do this on a Friday.
Okay.
There we go.
It's good stuff.
Anchor of Fox News Sunday joins us. So, Chris, good morning. I guess people can overreact. One of the commentators' takes on the Vegas debate that I saw was Elizabeth Warren just signed Michael Bloomberg's death warrant on live TV. Now, that might be a little much, but how badly did he hurt his chances this week?
Well, he did badly. There's no question about that. There were two aspects. One was he was rusty and stumbling. I wasn't particularly surprised at that. He hadn't been on a debate stage for over a decade. The second part I thought was more troubling, which was that the attacks were utterly predictable. Everybody knew that the other 5 candidates were going to go after him on stop and frisk, that they were going to go after him on women and the non-disclosure agreements. And it wasn't that he defended himself badly. He didn't defend himself at all. And that I was surprised at. When you got the best campaign team that money can buy, they should be able to do better than that. So fortunately for him, he's not on the ballot in Nevada. He's not on the ballot in South Carolina. He has another debate next week, so he has another chance to show people he's got more fire in the belly and more sort of deftness as a political candidate. But if he has another bad debate like that, I mean, it's not his death warrant. He's got an unlimited amount of money. He's certainly in through Super Tuesday on March 3rd. But if he were to have a debate as bad as that this next week, I think he's in real trouble.
All right, well, let's talk about South Carolina for a minute. If Joe Biden doesn't win there, does it actually, do you think, end his campaign? And as you think about it, where would be the most likely landing spot for his type of centrist type voters? I mean, if they did shift to one or maybe two other candidates, that could kind of reshape the race.
Well, it could, and that's part of the problem, and that's why Bernie Sanders is the clear frontrunner, because he really increasingly has that left lane, the more liberal lane, to himself, and that centrist lane is pretty clogged now because you have Biden, and you have Bloomberg, and you have Buttigieg, and you have Klobuchar, and none of them show any sign that they're going to get out before Super Tuesday. Were Biden to drop out, you know, in the end, it would be terribly damaging to his campaign. He's said all along that South Carolina was his firewall, that he has great support in the African-American community. But, you know, he had a lead of double digits. He had a lead of like 2-1. And the latest average of polls, he's beating Bernie Sanders in South Carolina by about 2 or 3 points. So he could lose in South Carolina. And, you know, in the end, nobody runs out of ambition and nobody runs out of ideas. They run out of money. And I would think, were he to lose in his firewall of South Carolina, that the one-time overwhelming frontrunner, Joe Biden, would very quickly run out of money.
Fox News Sunday. It comes up every Sunday morning right after our local news at 8 o'clock. You can join Chris. He always has a slew of really interesting guests. But the panel at the end, to me, that's usually my favorite part of the whole thing. Chris, thanks.
You bet. Thank you, Ron.
Okay. We'll see you next week, guys.
That's a great segment.
It's the first school in the city to have a predominantly African-American population.
And welcome back, everyone, here to News Now Worldwide for you on Fox 10 Extra and our YouTube page going at the same time. We do appreciate you joining us here today. Live look at the White House, where President Trump later this evening will finally be back at the White House after spending the last 3 days out on the West Coast and, of course, here in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, He's touched them all pretty much in these last 3 days. Hi, everyone. Mike Page here. Welcome back to News Now. Happy Friday to everybody. Enjoy these 70 degrees plus today, because tomorrow it's going to have a cool down and some rain moving in. But don't worry. By Sunday, everything will be great. Sun will be back up. You'll really, really enjoy it. All right, folks, let's continue to bring you top stories of the day. Let's go out to Chicago. Right now, you know, it's pretty much every weekend in the summer you hear about gun violence happening there. 10 shot, 13 shot, 15 shot on a summer weekend. That is no stranger, unfortunately, to the city. And now some community officials coming together to see how they can just stop the gun violence, especially with the youth.
Many years ago, and every time a child is shot in this neighborhood and in Chicago, it hurts a little bit more. And so I'm pleased to be here this morning to stand with our mayor to support her work and her vision in this community, which needs all the resources we can get. And I'm thankful that you guys came out this morning to hear what's being presented. And with that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Chris Taliaferro, who's the chairman of our Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Alderman Dow. Good morning, everyone. Let me start by saying this. There's nothing more stronger or more powerful than when we stand together as a community. From block clubs and faith groups to businesses and school communities, Chicagoans from every neighborhood and every background are coming together to unite against gun violence. And today we're standing with the future of the city of Chicago, and that's our children. Our responsibility to Chicago's children does not end when the school bell goes off at the end of the day or at the end of the school year. And everyone behind us or behind this podium recognizes that. Mayor Lightfoot has been clear that the city's public safety strategy must represent an all-hands-on-deck effort to ensure that every child in Chicago has a safe environment and nurturing environment in which they can grow in, they can learn in, and that they can thrive in. And I applaud her for ensuring that our students that are behind us today have a seat at the table as we take part in this effort. But what's more important is I applaud her for her investments in making sure that we support our youth and keep them on the right path to success. I want to thank the mayor for her continued leadership when it comes to public safety, and I look forward to expanding on today's investment over the next coming weeks, months, and years. And with that, I introduce the mayor of the city of Chicago, Mayor Lori E. Lightfoot.
Good morning, and thanks for all of you who are here, and especially thanks to this incredible high school, Principal Matthew Sullivan, and the young people that are gathered with us today. We had a roundtable discussion with them, and we fundamentally asked them what we need to do better to keep them safe. And they were very candid and sharing their experiences, for which I'm grateful. And we will learn from what we heard from today, and we will make sure that we do a better job as a city, not just as a city government, but as a city, in making sure that we're doing better to support our young people. In that discussion, we were joined by Dr. Janice Jackson, Superintendent Beck, Dr. Allison Arwady, the Commissioner of Public Health, Lisa Morrison-Butler, the Commissioner of Department of Family and Support Services, Susan Lee, Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, as well as Sybil Madison, Deputy Mayor for Education and Human Services. So I think we all heard and felt the passion, but also the fear of our young people in their neighborhoods and in their daily lives, the things that are motivating the gun violence, and what we need to do better to make sure that we're supporting them, and we will. Let me just say, today is prompted by, in part, by what happened last weekend. 11 kids and teenagers were shot. 11. Due in large part to children and teens having access to these deadly weapons. And let me drill down a little bit further. On Friday, last Friday, A 7-year-old girl was playing with a gun and accidentally discharged it, hitting an 11-year-old boy in the neck. That same day, in another part of the city, there was a shooting in an apartment where 6 people were wounded, including 2 14-year-olds and a 15-year-old girl. And that circumstance in particular was one in which some adult led a bunch of kids into an empty apartment and chaos ensued. Also last Friday, a young boy was playing with a gun in this neighborhood, which accidentally discharged, hitting an 8-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. And then on last Saturday, a 15-year-old boy accidentally fired a gun, hitting a 14-year-old girl. The common thread running through each of these incidents: children and young people with guns they should never have possessed in the first place. Adults in their lives failed them. Full stop. And what result was tragedy in each instance. This is particularly true of the adult who let those teenagers into the apartment with no supervision. No amount of policing, no superior crime strategy can address these private moments where adults allow children and teens access to deadly weapons. Adults, we have to be better. And for teens and young adults, my comments to you, and really my plea, is put the guns down. You're not a punk or weak if you don't carry a gun. And you're certainly not stronger or safer with a gun. A gun means that your future is going to be determined and irreparably shaped by a trigger pull. You pick up a gun, you picked up a ticking time bomb. Now, we heard a lot today, which we have to take in and consider, the circumstances in which and why young people don't feel safe. But I hope that we as a city can build a consciousness around making our young people feel safe because they are safer, build upon what we heard today and we've heard in other similar conversations. But fundamentally, I want to say to the young people, we will work hard, work our damnedest to keep you safe. But we can't do that if you pick up a gun. So please think before you pick up a gun. Don't pick it up in the first place. Put them down if you have them. But if you're not feeling safe, find the adult in your life who you trust, who cares about you, who loves you and nurtures you, and reach out to them. We have to do better as adults. We have to do better every part of the ecosystem around our young people. But we cannot normalize gun violence. We cannot say that young people picking up guns is okay, because it's not. And that's our failing. That's our fault. And we have to do better. Our jobs as adults is to love and support our children throughout the entirety of their lives, to help them build strength in times of trouble and teach them to love themselves and to love others. We need to create the supports and opportunities that our children, all of our children, have the tools that they need to build a long, fulfilled life full of love and joy. Today, we're joining students and parents and public safety leaders from across Chicago in a rallying cry to say enough of the shootings, enough of the guns, enough of the violence in our communities, that we have to do better. And part of that call is to make sure, as these young people said so clearly, so eloquently, that they need more from us. That is why we're announcing a landmark multi-year investment to expand Choose to Change, or C2C. And what will this look like? A year-round programming delivered by youth advocate programs and Children's Home and Aid for more than 2,000 students at the highest risk of gun violence involvement. Participants will receive individualized mentoring and group-based trauma-informed therapy, partake in activities such as field trips to explore this incredible city, their city, and participate in community service projects and a variety of recreational opportunities. The cost of these participants and their families, not one penny to them. We owe it to them to invest in their lives and help transform their lives. And the proof we already know. This program's been up and running. We're announcing an expansion of it. I'm being tested today. We know from research done by the University of Chicago Crime Lab that this program, Choose to Change, not only kept students safe and engaged during the program, but has proven a positive impact on students after they complete the program. It reduces the probability that they are arrested. It reduces the opportunity that they are going to be a victim of violence. Participants are more likely to attend school and less likely to get in trouble at school. This is only our latest effort to support survivors of gun violence, but also to prevent it. The city invested $11.5 million in community-based public safety investments this year alone. That is a 7-fold increase in funding compared to 2019 and the largest year-over-year increase in recent history. Chicago is ending the law enforcement first and only public safety strategy model. We discarded that at the start of my tenure because it doesn't work. What Chicagoans deserve is a comprehensive approach aimed at reaching the most vulnerable among us in the most vulnerable neighborhoods, and that's precisely what we will continue to do. That mission demands coordinated effort between city departments that focus on public health, family and support services, parks, schools, libraries, and much more. That's why we're here today. But where this has to start, where it has to be integrated, is for us listening and responding to the needs of our young people. As a mayor, there's nothing worse to hear than that young people don't feel safe, that they feel like they've got to pick up a gun to protect themselves, that they don't feel like they have a relationship with the police. We have to turn that around 100%. Everyone, no matter where they live, no matter where they come from, deserves to feel like public safety includes them. And that's a goal that we have to achieve, and we will, for the sake of our city, for the sake of our children, and for the sake of our young people. It's now my pleasure to invite Malik Hicks, an alumni of Choose to Change, to come and speak.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Good morning.
During my expedition with YAP and Children's Home and Aid, I went through a variety of things that only excellent coaches of these two programs partners deserve the credit as to why I'm standing here free, alive, and a black man in Chicago. In my early stages of my life, I went through unbearable experiences, losing both my parents to the system at 1.5. Later, being adopted, losing my adopted dad in elementary school, which then led me to a bunch of various acts of lashing out, getting in trouble in school, playing in the streets, doing typical teenage boy stuff with no guidance, which then later led me to high school, where I then, my freshman year in high school, got expelled for fighting my football coach due to an anger lash out, which led me to not be in school for a year plus, till reaching out to a school that is now known in Chicago, the Camelot School Program, which I was presented to in about 2016. I then later ran into a program with Youth Advocate with different great people involved in it, like my mentor, Chris, my mentor Greg, and my mentor Rayvon, who helped me reach a serene state in my life that helped me calm down and realize that I had a lot of potential and it was more things to come in the future if I was willing to open my eyes and see it. After enrolling in Excel and later going through multiple sessions with YAP and Youth Guidance and Children's Home and Aid, I reached a point in my life where I was about to be a father. I was kind of distraught. I reached another point in my life where I felt like I was at rock bottom. With the help of the people that were around me, with the Choose to Change program, I was then able to get back up on my feet. I graduated high school at 2018, a year late due to the stipulants that I was going through, but it was better that I did it anyway. This program, Choose to Change, it's more, I wouldn't call it a program, I would call it a family. The people who work for these two companies in this organization, they are here to genuinely help you. They will answer the phone at any time of the night, any time of the day. If you need them at an event for emotional support, physical support, they're there. If you just need somebody to talk to when you're in a rough spot in life and you need a little bit of guidance, they're there. They're outstanding people. They're always willing to help, and they will never say no, no matter what the task may be. My last point I would like to reach before I finish is the flower that actually blossoms when you accept help within this program. When I first came in, I was really rebellious. I had a very bad trust issue with people not having my parents in my life and going through a lot of stuff by myself, so it was hard to open up to these people. But with them in contact with you, going every day with you and fighting strong with you, after a couple of months, I broke that shell, which led me to be employed by multiple companies. I also just recently got a raise at my job. I'm a part-time security officer, and just different situations like that they can let you see your potential. I'm also soon will be going to trade school, thanks to the emotional support and the foundation that they put under me and helped me realize my real true potential in life. And with that, I am done. But also I'd like to introduce the CEO of Chicago Public Schools, Dr. Janice Jackson.
Good job. I was hoping he didn't call on me. I could barely speak because of the lump in my throat. My heart is definitely full today. We just had a wonderful conversation with the young people standing behind us. But as I sit here and reflect on the power that's happening in this room today, what you're witnessing in this announcement is really the convergence of all of the city agencies in order to support our students, all of our students in CPS. This builds on Chicago Public Schools' vision, where we, for the first time, identified our students who attended alternative schools like Malik as a part of our strategy and as a part of our focus area going forward. So yesterday, I was attending the mayor's Solutions Toward Ending Poverty Summit, and we were asked to identify specific programs and actions that we can take in order to support our students in vulnerable populations. So building on that today and being able to announce something like this that is very specific and actionable is something that gives me great hope. The Choose to Change program is extremely important because we know for a fact that it works. We have research to support this program. It builds on other programs that we have implemented in CPS, like our Safe Passage program, to ensure that our students feel safer in their communities as they come to and from school. But the fact that we're providing them with resources, because we know, whether we're talking to the students here today or as I talk to students throughout the city, it's an unfortunate fact that it is easier for them to get access to a handgun than to get a job. Easier to handle things on the street than it is to get access to social emotional support like they're going to receive through the Choose to Change program. So it's a great honor to be here today, to be doing something that's very specific and actionable to support thousands of our students here in Chicago. This work would not happen without the collaboration of all of our city teams, and we're joined by so many of them here today. But we also know, Mayor Lightfoot has made this clear, that the work that our Chicago Police Department does throughout our communities and in partnership with Chicago Public Schools is critical if we're going to see the type of change that we all want to see here in this city. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, Charlie Beck, who I know will do great things in partnership with the mayor and myself to support our students throughout the city. Superintendent Beck.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. So when you're a cop that works a difficult neighborhood and you meet people, they always say, wow, that must be a really tough job. And my response is always the same. You think it's tough to be a cop in that neighborhood, you ought to try being a young person. Because the challenges that they face far go beyond what anybody that is uninvolved can imagine. And that was really driven home to me today in talking to these remarkable young people behind me. And I wanted to make sure that in my comments that they know that I heard what they said, and that they know that I understand that they want and they think they would benefit from a better relationship, a closer relationship, a more normalized relationship with the police that work their neighborhoods. And because of that, and because this is also what I believe in, we are going to set Chicago on the path to having beat officers who are responsible to their community, beat officers who know their community, and beat officers who are not chasing 911 calls but are there to work with young people, there to work with the aldermen, there to make communities healthy. Because the key to a safe community is a healthy community, and that's what we heard over and over again. And I just, I'm just so impressed by this school and by these young people. And even after all my years of policing, I always learn, and I learned from them today. So I'm going to give you back the mayor, and I just have to echo her comments on gun safety. Unwanted guns in the house are a leading cause of death in America, and if you have guns, you must secure them. And if you have young people in your house and you have guns, it is not only your moral obligation to secure them, it is your legal obligation. And one of the things that the mayor didn't tell you was that we prosecuted 2 adults for endangering over the weekend because of their allowed access of the young folks to guns. So with that, I'll give you back Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Happy to entertain your questions. Yes.
So we've already budgeted funds for the program to start us off from this point forward throughout the year. There is a plan to continue the program we had over the summer where students did receive stipends in order to participate in the program. We offer that because they do have an opportunity to participate in summer job programs. So if they're in this program getting that additional support, we want to make sure that they have access to earn money as well. And so the lion's share is definitely focused on the social and emotional support that students will receive, but there is a component during the summer to support the students financially.
How did you identify those
Through our partnership with the urban labs, the education lab has been an amazing partner with Chicago Public Schools. They've published data around this, but we've been able to look at students and look at a variety of determinants to identify students who are at risk. These are students who may have been involved with the justice system, may have been victims themselves, students who are in our alternative schools, students who may be off track towards graduation based on the number of credits they have acquired. So there are a variety of metrics that we look at in order to identify our most at-risk students.
Mayor, what did you hear from the students that you think you could incorporate into a plan to deal with violence this summer?
I think a number of things. Some of which are in the works, which I'll save for those announcements. But, some basic things. What we heard is from a number of the students who are here is they need access to opportunities to have fun and be young people outside of the school time. We know that to be true, and we'll be making some specific announcements down the road about that. We heard, as Superintendent Beck indicated, that they want to feel like the police are on their side, that they're there not just when there's an emergency, but that they care about the communities day in and day out, and that they are out of their cars and building relationships with young people. That's something that I think we all agree is important, and we can start that work sooner rather than later. So those are some of the things that I think we need to do, but I want to reiterate the point that I made previously and the point that Superintendent Beck does. As a city departments, elected officials, there's a lot we can do and a lot we can do better, and we will. But fundamentally, what also needs to happen is the adults that are in these young people's lives need to love them, and need to make sure that they're doing everything that they can to be there for them, to be present in their lives, to listen, to teach them right from wrong, to be there, to listen to their fears, their concerns, their aspirations. Those are things that you must do as a parent, as a caregiver, and we can't replicate all of that. And God forbid, if you bring a gun into a home, you have a moral and legal obligation to make sure that that gun is always secured. Always secured. We can't have a circumstance where a 7-year-old knows where the keys are to a gun lock, gets access to them, and opens up that gun lock, and then carries that gun in a backpack, as happened this past weekend.
It sounds like there's also an underlying message of personal responsibility on these young kids.
There's always always should be a message of personal responsibility, particularly around the adults who have influence over our young people. Always. I think that should be something that we think about from day one. But certainly, if you're an adult, you're a caregiver, you have a responsibility to be accountable for yourself, but also for our young people.
Last question. May I ask about the stepped-up efforts regarding the CTA public transportation?
Yes, sure. I'll let the superintendent address that.
Absolutely. The mayor and I have been working with CTA to put forward a stronger security plan. We are going to do an announcement of the total security plan with CTA next week. In the interim, starting today, we're going to be putting additional resources onto the train lines, additional police resources onto the train lines, including SWAT officers. Not SWAT officers in full tactical gear, but SWAT officers that are the best and the brightest of my police officers, to make sure that the trains are safe. And that is just an interim step until the mayor and I announce the complete plan. But I think it's important because, well, as everybody knows, 1.6 million Chicagoans ride the transportation system every day, and all of us need to feel safe. And the young people that ride the transportation system need to know that they will not be victims of crime and that they will be safe in their journeys. So a lot of things in progress. You know, I've given you a little bit today, and you'll get more next week as we roll it out. But it will be a vastly increased presence, including some technology and including some participation by CTA.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mayor. The election, the primary election is in 3 weeks. Do you plan on making an endorsement? Can you tell us who you're supporting?
Welcome back, everyone, here to News Now Live. Look in Las Vegas here. As you can see, it is another Keep America Great rally set to begin a little bit later this afternoon, but we're already getting the shot a little bit early. Fans already in the building as they continue to wait for the President of the United States. President Trump expected to have the rally at about 1 o'clock Arizona time. We'll have special coverage for you on our YouTube page at Fox 10 Phoenix and play it for you in its entirety, everybody. So we'll keep an eye on that. If we do see any speakers before that, though, we'll bring it to you right here on News Now and on Fox 10 Extra. Thanks so much for joining us here. Mike Page, as we continue to bring you the top stories and headlines of the day. We got to go out to Philadelphia right now. This is a really scary and bizarre situation of a deadly shooting as Philadelphia police continuing to provide updates on a quadruple shooting that left one woman dead, as well as a discovery of a body inside a burning car.
Personnel responded to 1039 West Thompson Street for a report of a shooting. Upon arrival, officers observed the decedent on the steps of 1039 West Thompson Street, suffering from a gunshot wound to the head. The victim, later identified as Yania Foster, 19 years old, was transported to Temple Hospital and listed in critical condition. At 10:52 p.m., Ms. Foster was pronounced. 3 additional shooting victims were also transported by private auto to Temple Hospital. A 23-year-old male who suffered a gunshot wound to the head had been sitting inside a parked vehicle on the 1300 block of North 11th Street. Another 23-year-old male who suffered a gunshot wound to the left foot had been standing with the group outside of 1039 West Thompson Street. And another 25-year-old male who suffered a gunshot wound to the right arm. It is believed at this time that he is going to be one of the 2 individuals who initiated the shooting. The police department's crime scene unit processed the crime scene and recovered a total of 22 fired cartridge casings. 15 of those were 9mm and 7 were .40 caliber. Our investigation revealed that the decedent and 3 males were outside the location of 1039 West Thompson Street when 2 males approached them from 11th Street. These individuals turned the corner of 11th and Thompson Street and immediately fired towards the group. The decedent, who had been sitting on the front step of the property, was struck in the head by gunfire and collapsed. Two of the other three individuals who were being fired upon ran eastbound on Thompson Street, while a third male ran to the corner of 11th and Thompson and appeared to have returned fire at the offenders as they fled northbound on 11th Street. The male who returned fire has not been identified at this time. 3 vehicles used to transport the surviving shooting victims were located in the parking area of Temple Hospital's emergency room. A 2010 silver Dodge Charger was one of these vehicles recovered. Recovered from inside that vehicle were 2 handguns, a Smith & Wesson .40 caliber handgun containing an empty magazine, and a Taurus 9mm handgun loaded with 7 live rounds. These firearms matched the same caliber as the fired cartridge casings recovered at 11th and Thompson Street. Both of these firearms were reported to have been in stolen status. The 2 males who had arrived at Temple Hospital in the silver Dodge Charger matched the clothing description of the 2 offenders as shown in video that we recovered and from witness observations. These males were transported to the homicide unit and currently remain in our custody while we continue with our investigation. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
So the two guys you just mentioned, they had the same clothes as people who were seen shooting from the corner toward the 1039 house, is that right?
That's correct. The 2 males that initiated the shooting, who approached from the corner of 11th and Thompson.
Did they shot too? Did they suffer injuries as well?
We believe that one of those 2 males was shot in the right arm. He showed up at Temple Hospital later on, and we took him into custody after he received treatment, of course, and he's down at our unit presently while we continue our investigation.
If you know about how many people were kind of out in front of this area, and then how has witness cooperation been?
Witness cooperation has been pretty good in this instance. As far as the total number of persons, I can only go by the one video camera angle that I was able to view. I'm going to say there were approximately 3 to 4 other people that I observed. There were a couple on bicycles. Again, there was one other individual standing with the group that was not shot, and he fled. There were others, absolutely. And from what I understand, it was shortly after school dismissal, so this could have been much worse than it turned out to be. I know, as horrible as it was.
Why those 2 males start shooting at the group? Was there an established relationship between the individuals?
Yeah, the motive for this shooting is still under investigation. We're not sure at this point in time what precipitated it, what caused the shooting.
Do you suspect this is some sort of gang violence of some sort, or?
I wouldn't want to speculate that it's due to gang-related violence.
How many people were in? You said the Dodge was where 2 of those firearms were recovered. How many people were transported? Do we know if it was just one of the victims that came to the hospital? And
There were 2 individuals that showed up at the hospital in the silver Dodge Charger. Okay, one of those was the shooting victim that I just mentioned. Another was a juvenile. Both of those individuals were taken into custody. Okay, it is possible, it is believed that they are going to be the shooters, but we're still, like I said, the investigation is still ongoing.
Just to be clear, there were 4 people standing outside 1039. 3 of them were shot, including a 19-year-old who died.
2 of them were shot.
2 of them were shot.
One was shot in the left foot, or the left leg, and then the other one, of course, is our decedent. There was the other 2 individuals. One was not struck, and he ran eastbound on Thompson Street. The other individual appeared to go over to the decedent and then ran back to the corner. We surmise, it would appear from video, that this individual returned fire. We won't know that until we get the ballistics back. It'll show us how many firearms were out at the scene.
So 2 people in front of 1039 got struck. The other 2 were the people who came up 11th Street. Is that right?
So you said the 2 people came up 11th Street.
The offenders came southbound on 11th Street, and they turned the corner to go eastbound on Thompson Street. As soon as they turned that corner, you could see that they opened fire because you could see the crowd reacting. And
one of them is the 25-year-old.
one of them's a 25-year-old. They got shot in the arm. And then the other offender, both offenders run together northbound on 11th Street. It was one of the other individuals who was standing with the group that ran eastbound on Thompson Street, away from the shooters.
So only one of the offenders is a victim?
Correct.
You've been able to recover surveillance video from that area that shows what happened?
Yeah, there's a school right there which has really good surveillance video, which is extremely helpful. And there are multiple camera angles, and of course that takes time to view all the recovered video that we have thus far.
Do you also know any relationships between anybody, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, relatives?
Yeah, I don't want to put out any of that information at this point in time.
And did you say the weapons were reported stolen?
Yeah, both of the firearms that were recovered inside the Dodge Charger were reported stolen. All right, I'm going to move on to the next job. Okay. There was a victim seated inside a vehicle. Yeah, it was one of the vehicles that showed up at the hospital, a Buick.
So he was sitting in the car?
He was sitting in. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be an innocent bystander, seated inside the car. A shot just happened to go through the rear windshield, striking him in the head. Thank God he's going to be okay.
So he was not affiliated with the group that was outside of the 1039 business?
We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that's the case.
Is there any indication that the shooters were targeting the deceased?
That is not entirely clear at this point in time, who was the intended target. All right, next job. All right, so not a lot on this, okay, thus far, because, I mean, it just occurred this morning. So this morning at 1:54 a.m., 35th District personnel responded to 1511 West Fisher's Lane for a report of a vehicle on fire. When officers arrived at that location, they observed a 2007 gray Mercedes-Benz station wagon that had been previously engulfed in flames. Prior to the officers' arrival, Engine 72 responded to the scene and extinguished the blaze. Upon further inspection of the vehicle, an unidentified victim was discovered in the front passenger seat. Engine 72 pronounced the victim at the scene. The victim was transported to the office of the medical examiner for a post-mortem examination to determine the manner and cause of death. It would appear that the victim had, in fact, suffered a gunshot wound to their head. The victim's identity has not been established at this time. I'll open up the questions.
So is it believed that the person or the victim shot before and then the car got lit on fire?
You would hope that that's the case, but the cause of death, again, that's for the medical.
And welcome back, everyone, here worldwide on News Now. One more hour for you on Fox 10 Extra, taking a live look in Las Vegas. This is the Keep America Great rally that is set to get going in about a couple of hours, but fans already there getting ready to see the president. We'll have special coverage on our YouTube page starting at about 12:15 Arizona time. And we'll feature the whole rally for you on our YouTube at Fox 10 Phoenix. Hi, everyone. Mike Page here as we continue to always bring you the top stories of the day. Thank you so much for joining us here. Well, tomorrow is the big Nevada caucus, and we'll see how Joe Biden fares out there. He needs to get some wins going in his column, or he's going to be out before Super Tuesday even comes around the corner there. So let's go to a Joe Biden event from the other day here. This is him in Nevada talking about gun violence.
Stay in Las Vegas until one man in possession of a small arsenal of assault weapons, many modified with bump stocks, increasing the speed with which he could fire the weapons, and 100 rounds of ammunition with each of those assault weapons, was able to, in just 10 minutes, take out 58 innocent lives and hundreds more were wounded. The largest mass shooting in American history. And normal to me and to all the people behind me is not acceptable. No, moms like Stephanie, they do not accept a world where her bright, beautiful 4-year-old daughter, Dayla, gets cut down by a stray bullet in front of her twin brother, and nothing changes. And I want to say to all of you here today, it takes enormous courage to be here. It takes enormous courage, because every single time, I know, every single time you show up at something like this or you speak to this issue, you relive as if the moment happened this moment. But you're giving people courage around the country. I don't accept that we can't stand up and say no more. To the voices who offer those empty words of sympathy, and our prayers go out to you, and then oppose a change in any way that would cure this god-awful problem. I've beaten the National Rifle Association nationally twice, passed meaningful gun legislation at the federal level, and I'll do it again. But it won't just be because I'll do it. It's because moms against gun violence are now mobilized. Young victims, school children across the country are mobilized, pricking the conscience of everybody out there who says, my thoughts and prayers are with you. You know, I think that I think the country's ready. You know, and I'm incredibly proud of having worked so hard when I was in the United States Senate of passing the Brady bill with background checks. But people don't realize that kept a weapon out of the hands of 3 million people. 3 million people. 3 million out of the hands of dangerous people. Now we need to follow the leadership of the Nevada legislature and Governor Sisolak. They've shown by instituting universal background checks here in Nevada. We're requiring background checks for every single gun sale. Just common sense. It's supported by 90% of the American people share that view. We have to get it done nationally. It just takes a little bit of backbone to stand up to the thugs. Working with Dianne Feinstein, I was able to get assault weapons with high-capacity magazines and high-capacity magazines declared to be illegal, banned. We got them banned for 10 years. It had to be reauthorized. And the Bush administration did not support that when we lost the Congress. We passed it in spite of the NRA, because no one needs an AR-15, something designed for no other purpose, none, other than to kill human beings. There's no other rationale for its existence, and to kill them as quickly and as brutally as possible. Every day that we do nothing about this epidemic of assaults and assault weapons, high-capacity magazines in our streets, is an insult. And the innumerable lives across this nation that have been forever shattered by this violence. As president, I promise you, I will get these weapons of war off the street again and out of our communities. You know, it's so long past time that we correct one of the most egregious special interest giveaways the United States Congress has ever engaged in. The civil liability protections granted to gun manufacturers against being sued by the victims of gun violence. Only major industry. And by the way, we talk about people killed in war. Do you all realize, counting the Vietnam War all the way through to this day, 3 times as many people have been killed in the United States of America as every single solitary warrior killed in Vietnam to this moment. 3 times, 150,000 people murdered just since 2005. 150,000 people murdered since 2005. We don't grant that kind of immunity to anybody else. Imagine if I stood up here and said today, I voted to give immunity to the tobacco companies. I voted to give immunity, if I did, to say I'm going to vote to give immunity to drug manufacturers who poured 9 billion opioids out on the market. Imagine if I stood here and said to you all that I think that, or I voted for giving immunity to oil companies for the pollution and damage they do to groundwater supplies, to the air, etc. Folks, it's just flat out immoral. It's just flat out immoral. You know, and too many Republicans and some Democrats, like Bernie Sanders, voted 5 times against the Brady bill that I was passing. 5 times against background checks and waiting periods. Notwithstanding the fact of the millions of people who were denied having access to a weapon of destruction because they didn't qualify. They weren't responsible enough to own one. You know, any one of you and the people behind me should be able to walk into a court of law and demand that gun manufacturers, with their enormous profits, be held accountable for the carnage that they're responsible for inflicting on our society. And I promise you, if I'm your next president, they're going to be held accountable, because I am coming after them. 150,000 dead on our streets. That's not counting suicides. 150,000 dead on our streets because of the glamorization of AR-15s, assault weapons. What is the rationale encouraging people to buy a magazine that has 100 rounds in it, 100 bullets in it? In fact, my first day of office, I'm going to send a bill to the Congress repealing the liability protection for gun manufacturers, closing the background check loopholes and waiting period. And it'll let too many people slip through the cracks. And I stand with all the people here today who care about saving their children, care about not having an entire generation of young people scarred because they're afraid of being shot at school. What do we do when a veteran comes home and he or she has been the victim of the victim? He or she has been injured or shot in a war. We try to give them as much mental health as they can, much support as they can, dealing with the nightmare of what happened. What in God's name do you think is happening to our children? The impact on their psyche, on their very stability. What do you think? What in God's name are we doing? Look, I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. We put protections in that act saying that an abuser, as a stay-away order and or has been convicted of abuse, can't own a weapon because that's the weapon of choice to kill their significant other. And each time it has to be reauthorized, I've fought like hell to get more protection for the abused, saying that those who have an order against them because they have abused could not own a weapon. There's a bill sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk right now as I speak, being held up by the NRA and the president, who's owned by the NRA, that says if a boyfriend abuses you, beats you up, has a stay order, whatever it is, they're exempt from being told they can't own a weapon. What in God's name are we doing? What is the matter with us? Look, you know, we care a lot about the young boys and girls getting home safely after school today in their neighborhoods. We also know, Jill and I know, in a different context, the pain of losing someone by indiscriminate chance. Terrible car crash took the lives of my first wife and my baby daughter. Tragedy many people across this country have been through. But no one thought we couldn't do things to make cars safer. No one said, by the way, don't tell the automobile industry that they not only have to have seat belts, but they have to make sure there's airbags. They have to take other precautions. Nobody said that. We talked about dealing with the carnage on the highway. So we passed the seatbelt law. We required airbags. We continue to make cars safer. Require a license to drive and for cars to be registered and insured. Jill and I know the loss. Cancer took our son's life. But no one said to Jill or me that we shouldn't be passing laws that deal with the causes of the toxins that cause cancer. No one said to Jill or me that we should not be spending the time, effort, and money to make sure that other people don't die of brain cancer. No one has said that it doesn't make sense for us to try to save millions of Americans' lives who are dying of cancer. Why in God's name can we say that we can't do anything about 150,000 people being shot dead in the United States of America, murdered because of gun violence? Look, why are guns different? Because of cowardice. Because of cowards. Cowards who are afraid to take on these special interests because they're so damn powerful.
With our eyes fixed on all
elected leaders, up to now, have just been too afraid. The NRA and the gun manufacturers stand up to them, but they're afraid to stand up to the gun manufacturers and do what they know. As they say, what they know in their heart, they know is the right thing to do. It's not violating anybody's Second Amendment rights. Have you heard me say before, if you're hunting geese, you can only have 3 shells in your shotgun. We protect geese better than we do people. But not me. I've looked in the eyes of too many parents, and I mean literally scores of them, who've lost their children to gun violence. And looked in the eyes of brave young people who survived school shootings. And I made each of them a promise. I made myself a promise. I promised them, and I promise all of you, I will make this promise today. Those families hurting across the country, I will never, 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 never give up this fight. We're not gonna, won't stop until we beat the NRA. And it will not stop until we ban killer assault weapons, until we hold gun manufacturers liable. That is my promise to the American people. Whether I'm your president or I am a citizen fighting for it, I promise you, I will not rest until we beat these guys, because it is immoral what's happening. Thank you for listening. I'm going to spend some time with these folks. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Welcome back, everyone, here to News Now. Taking a live look, we are expecting at any moment a Bernie Sanders news conference, and we'll bring it to you if we get it on time right here on Fox 10 Extra. Everyone, Mike Page here to continuing bringing the top stories of the day. Let's go to a live event right now in New York City, where the Harvey Weinstein trial does continue. This is day 4 of the jury deliberating on the case against Harvey Weinstein, accused of several sexual assault charges, and he was the one-time Hollywood mogul. Now he is the face, really, of the Me Too movement. This is Gloria Allred representing a couple of the accusers there in that case.
This morning and I don't remember ever even speaking to her. I might have said hello as she was walking by one time. That's about it. I don't even remember that. she came up to me and started a rant. Well, why are you talking to the media and telling the media why I, whatever it is she said about the reason that she alleged that I had told the media about why the court had a shortened day today. Well, of course, she did not care about the fact that I never have spoken to the media about that. She just accused me of doing it and indicated that 4 people from the media had contacted her to ask her essentially if she had something to do with why there's a short day today. And she then put the following apparently on the record, and I told her I've never spoken to any person in the media about it. No. It was after the segment ended, okay? And I'm just, and she didn't have her next show because Vinny in Atlanta had already started his show. So this was not part of the show. Okay. It was just between it. So she put in, I'll be happy to take the question. So apparently, she then goes, after shouting at me, and I responded, I responded. What did you say? I said, I didn't speak to the media about this. No one contacted me about it. And, this is a distortion of the truth. And I said something about, and it's not your first distortion of the truth. I could have been stronger than distortion, but I was being kind. Because we know that it appears that facts don't stand in the way when she wants a particular point of view to be out there. Case in point, New York Times podcast, which she represented to the court, was done before a court order in reference to speaking to the media, and that she didn't know it was going to be published that day. New York Times disputed both of those points, said that when it had been done and that she knew when it was going to be published. And then, of course, her issue of the op-ed that she did, that was published, that in which she represented to the court, I wasn't trying to appeal to the Weinstein jury because I was just talking about jury in general. Person should be considered innocent. I'm paraphrasing, you have it. And of course, all of us saw the op-ed editorial and saw that she mentioned Harvey Weinstein in it. And in fact, his name was even in the headline of her op-ed. So again, facts didn't seem to stand in the way of even her representing to the court that it's just generally about juries. So then she says to the court the following, states to the court, I don't have the transcript, but this is apparently a close approximation. As the court is aware, on Tuesday, February 18th, the court ordered defense not to speak to the media. However, all other parties seem to be able to have that ability. Miss Allred feels the need to go out on a daily basis to attack me, which is fine. She can attack me whenever she wants. However, she's announcing to the media that I have to leave to attend a funeral. I think it's out of line and unprofessional. It's a dear friend, not someone in my own family that has passed away. To put those people in that position is wrong. She doesn't care that it's wrong, and it's horrible behavior. So you can all ask for the transcript, but that appears to be a close approximation of what she said. Well, first of all, even that contains untruths, because many of you have been out here every day, and the line that she said to the court, Ms. Allred feels the need to go out on a daily basis to attack me. Okay, you all know that has not been the focus of what I've been saying every day, as she says. And then she goes on to say, however, she's announcing to the media that I have to leave to attend a funeral. I never did that. But now that she's put it on a public court record and represented that to the judge, then it's fair to disclose that, because you all have that. I think it's out of line and unprofessional. Well, I don't think there's anything unprofessional about just asking, why is a court proceeding ending earlier when a jury is in deliberations? I just think the public has the right to know that. I don't know what the problem is, but she apparently has a problem with that. She doesn't care that it's wrong, it's horrible behavior. So, again, without the facts, that's what she said. So, that's pretty much what happened. I don't know why. Maybe she's just, this is now pure speculation. I'll identify it as such. Maybe she's nervous about what the verdict's going to be. Maybe that's one of the reasons she wrote that op-ed appealing to the Weinstein jury. It appears as though she's doing that. Maybe she didn't feel her final argument was compelling or strong enough. I don't know what's in her mind. But I think a reasonable person, a professional person, would not just come up and say and make allegations or charges without saying, is this true? That's what I would do. I wouldn't just jump to it. It's not a surprise that if in fact it's true that 4 media people contacted her, well, I mean, I'm sure that some of you have questions about why the court day is shorter, and I'm not saying it shouldn't have been shorter. But this is what that whole dust-up was about, and she had some of her gang of 5, so to speak, poetically speaking, other attorneys with her. I don't know if she felt that she couldn't face me alone. I'm only 5'2", so I'm not known to be a violent person, but in any event, that's what this is all about. So, yes. Yes. I would say it was tense, yeah. I mean, she's a lot taller than I am, you know, in her Jimmy Choo high heels. But even probably without them. But that's okay. I can defend myself. I'm not worried. Bigger and better have tried to attack me unsuccessfully. I just pull out my Equal Rights Amendment brochures and everybody runs the other way if they're trying to attack me. Yes? Yeah, well, I'll talk about Prince Andrew as soon as we finish this. Yes, good question. No, absolutely not. No. I said, why didn't you ask him, Judah, the question about why it was not, why the court day ended early? Does he know why? Does he have an answer about that?
Did you mention the funeral when you were just talking between yourselves after the interview was finished?
I mentioned that I had reason to, you know, suspect there was a certain reason. I didn't use the word suspect. And I don't want to say that because I feel that part of what Seema also said to me, she intended to be confidential. So that's why I prefer if she would do that, because someone speaks to me in a confidential manner, I don't disclose it. So I'll let her do that, but I didn't tell her what I just confirmed that I had a reason to believe it might be something, but I hadn't been able to confirm that. So if I can't confirm something, I don't like to say it. Go ahead. Well, by the way, the question is, has she been less than forthcoming, which is a very kind way to put it. You look like a kind person. So, you know, first of all, she said all parties. I'm not a party, okay? This is completely clear. I am not a party to this. I am an attorney for 3 witnesses in this case. That doesn't make me a party. I wish I were a party, because then I would be able to speak to the court directly. I'm not, so that's a misrepresentation right there. And she's made other misrepresentations. So, you know, just, I don't like to dignify any more of them because there's so many. I gave you examples of 2. If I were there and I thought it was relevant to the court, which, by the way, I don't think this is relevant, I would have said, Your Honor, would you please ask Ms. Allred to come forward and explain to the court what she says happened. She didn't do that. And she also didn't inform the court of what I told her, which is I never spoke to the media. Although, of course, I have every right to, even though they tried to gag me, even though they tried to exclude me from the courtroom, even though they said they were going to call me as a witness, never did. I don't know. Let them, they want to send out black cube on me, as they did on one of my clients. They want to red flag me. Fine. Go ahead. I have nothing to hide, does she?
Gloria, do you feel like the way that the interaction started, her walking over, you still sitting, do you feel like that was any type of physical power play, like an attempt to physically intimidate you?
If she was trying to intimidate me, she was unsuccessful, as most people are. As I say, I've been doing this for 44 years. Bigger and better and much better known people than Donna have tried to confront me. I'm not backing down, and I'm not going away. Victims have a right to have their attorney present in the courtroom. I have a right to speak. They're not silencing me. And I don't know if Harvey Weinstein sent her over or didn't send her over. I don't know. I don't really care. I have better things to do than to be dealing with her and her issues. If she has issues, she needs to, speak to someone who can help her with their issues. I'm not the person except to give her the truth.
So how did it end? Did somebody from Virginia...
And I had never heard of Donna Rotuno before this trial, I'm sorry to say. So she's never, been a blip on my screen even until somebody told me that she was the anti-Gloria Allred. That's the first I had ever heard of her. So God bless her. I'm glad she's got a high-profile case. And, she can move on, but she needs to get a little control over herself and her temper, because controlling your temper is always a good thing, and not to be triggered or not to make a scene or have little dramas. There's enough drama in this case, and this should be all about the victims. Shouldn't be about the attorneys. That's really sad. I like Mr. Weinstein and his defense attorneys to really have a little heart for the victims and stop attacking me, although I would prefer if they attacked me rather than the victims. I'm happy, I can take it.
Did someone from the team have to come over and take her away? Like, how did it end?
I don't know. I was standing there and she was just went off in a huff. This was, when you talk about who, they tried to accuse one of my clients, Annabella, tried to insinuate that she was acting when she was testifying. Well, my question is, was Donna acting this morning when she created a drama in front of everybody? If she was really serious about this, she could have said, may I speak to you privately in the hall or someplace else? And I would have been happy to speak to her and answer her questions. But instead, there's this whole drama she creates. So I don't know, does she want the attention? Is she just super nervous? I don't know, because I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not going to, although we did have one testify in the trial. I'm not here to analyze her. I'm just saying she needs to chill.
Gloria, very quickly, I guess a part of her complaint is that you're able to come out here and bash her, and she's not able to do it. So
Well, I'm not bashing her. I'm just describing the facts.
well, some of it was bashing. So, what do you
I'll just say this in the the famous expression, Donna, you can't handle the truth. So that's it. If she can't, really I have a lot of people to feel sorry for, and Donna Rotuno is not one of them. I feel sorry for my clients who've had to be put through the ringer, but they had the courage to sit there and answer all of the questions under oath. I don't see her doing that. I don't see Harvey Weinstein doing that. All I see is pot shots from afar. So, no. Am I going to feel sorry for her because she can't come out and talk to the press? Actually, she's done quite a bit of press. She's done quite a bit more than I have, if you add it all up. And God bless her. I mean, I'm happy for her that she has done all of her op-ed pieces and interviews, and then she's going to be on 60 Minutes in Australia. This is the biggest thing that's ever faced her in terms of press. Go for it, Donna, but you need to be consistent with the truth and with court orders. It's as simple as that, and your ethical responsibilities, which, you know, it would be very always wise to take seriously. Hopefully she does. Okay, anything else on this? Then I'll go on to Prince Andrew, because that's it. Okay, so you're welcome.
And that was Gloria Allred speaking for about 15 minutes. If you were wondering what the heck she was talking about there, the latest in the Harvey Weinstein trial today is that Harvey Weinstein's lawyer set her sights on another target, and that was celebrity attorney Gloria Allred, who we were just listening to on the fourth day of jury deliberations. Before court began today, defense lawyer Donna Rotuno marched over to Allred, who was in the front row of the gallery, to really criticize Allred for allegedly discussing on camera that Rotunda had to attend a funeral over the weekend. If there's no verdict by 1 o'clock Arizona time, 3 o'clock out on the East Coast, the jury will be stopping deliberations so that Harvey Weinstein's lawyer can make the out-of-town funeral. And this was a little back and forth that we were hearing from Gloria Allred during this news conference. We'll be back. More news now coming up next.
What my administration will do. Across the country, the Democratic Party is hard at work removing roadblocks that get in the way of American citizens exercising their right to vote. Meanwhile, as all of you know, in state after state, Republicans are pushing to make it harder for working class people, for people of color, for young people to vote, and they are doing everything in their power to disenfranchise them, and that is an absolute disgrace. You know, if you cannot win an election based on your ideas and your ability to convince people to vote for you, you should not run for office. But many cowards out there who can't win an election on their ideas are trying to suppress the vote all over this country. As the most populous state in the nation and one of the most progressive states in the nation, a state that is leading America in so many respects, California needs to be the gold standard in voter enfranchisement. Unfortunately, under the current NPP participation rules, we risk locking out millions of young people of color, and many, many other people who wanted to participate in the Democratic primary, but may find it impossible for them to do so. And that seems to me to be very, very wrong. That is why our campaign here in California has focused so hard on talking to these voters and making sure they know what they need to do if they want to vote in the Democratic presidential primary. We don't want millions of people to say, wow, I'm excited, I'm going to vote for this candidate, I'm going to vote for that candidate, and then find out that they're unable to cast that ballot. That is what we want to prevent. And that is why today we are here to make sure that NPP voters, again, NPP voters means you are an independent. You're not registered with the Democratic Party, you're not registered with the Republican Party. But if you want to vote in a presidential primary, you need to know how to do that. And if you want to vote in the Democratic primary, and by the way, if you'd like to vote for Bernie Sanders, and that primary is coming up on March 3rd, And if you are registered as a no-party preference voter, you must request a Democratic crossover ballot. Once again, if you are an independent, if you're a no-party preference voter, in order to vote in the Democratic primary, for me or for any of the other candidates who are on the ballot, you must request a Democratic crossover ballot, or you're not going to participate in the Democratic primary. If you vote by mail and already have a ballot at home that doesn't have the names of the Democratic candidates for president, do not use that ballot. Because if you use that ballot, you have voted, but you haven't voted in the Democratic primary. Instead, you can do one of two things. First, you can call, email, fax, or show up in person at your county elections office or vote center to request a ballot. You need to do this before February 25th. Before February 25th. Secondly, if you forget to request a crossover ballot ahead of time, or if you are an in-person voter rather than a vote-by-mail voter, you can still go to your polling place or your local county elections office to get one. Some vote centers will begin to be open tomorrow on the 22nd, but again, you can already go to your local county election office to get your Democratic ballot. Again, please do not use your old NPP ballot if you want to vote in the Democratic primary. Just turn in the new Democratic Party crossover ballot. So that is where we are right now. We have some 5 million people who are registered NPP. They're registered as independents, and I hope very much that in California we have the highest voter turnout in this primary that California has ever had. But in order to make that happen, those people who are independents, who are no party preference people, have got to request a Democratic ballot. So I hope they will do that, and I hope people will give thought to voting for us. Thank you very much.
Now our State Director, Rafael Navarro, will talk a little bit about the efforts that the campaign has undertaken here in California to engage MPP voters in the Democratic primary process.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. So as we know, California has never been more important in the Democratic primary process. Not only do we have the largest delegate hall, but moving up to date has made our state more important. And also we have a rich cultural diversity that looks like America. And so it's imperative, as Senator Sanders has said, that this be the gold standard for voter enfranchisement. Now, California has done important leaps to do that, but we still can do more. Our campaign has focused intently on outreaching to voters to actually let them know what they need to do if they're NPP to vote for in the Democratic primary. And we're focused on immigrant communities, Latinos, working class communities, and youth. This is the third press conference we've had in the state about NPP voters, including one in Cantonese, and obviously we have the senator here today because of the importance of this outreach. We've had 3 videos that we've made, including one with the senator that's released this week about NPP voters, one with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and one that was done that's a much more longer, extensive video explaining to voters what they must do. And all of these have been pushed out through digital platforms, through our campaign efforts, so folks can get the information they need. We have a hotline that we've established, and all of this information is on our BernieSanders.com/California webpage. Everything you need to know to vote is listed on that page. And lastly, we've built a massive campaign infrastructure in the state, and it's integrated in every single thing that we do in California. So every phone bank, every precinct walk, every texting campaign includes information or education to NPP voters what they need to do. We even have a Burn app where supporters can upload contacts to the app, find out what their friends and family are registered, let them know if they're an NPP voter so that they can make sure that they do what they need to get engaged in the Democratic primary process. And so we've done everything we can to make sure that voters are engaged in this political process. It's imperative that we have the largest turnout in California. And I want to end with these reminders that we're asking folks to do. Please check your registration today. Check what many folks were registered as NPPs. They think they're a Democrat. They don't know that they're an NPP. So we're asking folks, check your registration today. We're also asking folks to make sure we want folks to know after today, there's no reason that you are not going to vote in this election if you want to support Senator Sanders or a Democratic primary candidate. Anybody can request a ballot or re-register up until Election Day. And so if you're a citizen and you want to vote, there's no reason you shouldn't participate. And, you know, as the senator mentioned, tomorrow vote centers open in many counties. So we encourage folks to vote early. Get engaged tomorrow. You can go to your county elections office so that you can be a part of this important, significant election, not only for California, but for the country. And the last thing I'll say is we have all of this information on our webpage. The hotline we have is 818-856-5083. That number is also posted on our online page. So if voters have any questions, any issues, we are staffing those lines and making sure that voters get every single information they need to get engaged in this Democratic primary. So thank you all for being here. Now we'll hear from,
Now we're going to hear from Shirley Toy, who is a registered nurse and a member of one of the great progressive unions in this country, the NNU.
Good morning. My name is Shirley Toy, and I've been a nurse for almost 40 years, and I'm a proud CNA NNU union nurse. One of the main reasons that I'm voting for and volunteering and canvassing and talking to everybody about Bernie Sanders is because he stands with nurses and is fighting for improved and expanded Medicare for all. Health care, or the lack of it, affects all of us and touches us in the most personal way. It can mean the difference between life or death for you or your family member. We do not want health insurance, we want health care. I've been voting my entire life, but even as a lifelong educated voter and someone who pays attention to politics, the process can be very confusing. The voting rules can be complicated, and I know as well as anyone else, when you're busy trying to work and take care of your family, it's hard to know all the rules. I can't imagine that single mom with 3 kids has the time to sift through a website to find the information she would need to be able to cast their vote for Bernie, especially if there are no party preference. So my message to all of the working folks out there, all the parents, students, people who are trying to just make ends meet, is to check your voter registration today. We cannot let this election pass by. It is too important. We are at the crossroads in our country. Are we going to be a country where we fight for someone we don't know, where we care about each other and work for the common good? Those are nurses' values: caring, compassion, and community. Or will we be a country consumed with fear, prejudice, the inhumanity of the market, and even more growing income inequality? Bernie Sanders fights for us because it's the right thing to do. He sees each of us as important, even if we don't have money or power, and he fights for us to have the dignity and respect that we deserve. Every vote counts. Your vote counts. This election is too important to not vote. Please do not procrastinate and make it a priority today to make sure you can cast your vote for Bernie. He is fighting for us, and he brings out the best in us instead of promoting fear and division. Be part of this movement, and everyone is welcomed. We are stronger together.
Now, Rafael Navarro, the state director, will take questions about the MPP program here in California or other aspects of our organizing here on the ground in California. Thank you very much. No, he's headed off to his rally. He has a rally coming up right now.
Yep.
Question. It doesn't seem like there is a muddying of waters. It seems like the people in LA have been obfuscated. The registrar has been going around and telling people that they can change their registration day of, whether they're an independent or Republican, and then cast a vote for Bernie Sanders. However, the problem is if they haven't changed their registration by the 18th, they're given a provisional ballot. You guys have plans to attack these accuracies?
So that is not actually true because of the recent laws that were passed. Anybody who's registered and who goes and re-registers or requests a ballot is actually not a conditional ballot, especially at the vote centers. At all vote centers, those ballots will be counted.
All right, so this is wrapping up there in California. I got to take you out to Vegas, though, right now. Mr. Las Vegas, Dana White, is speaking right now, and the second day in a row for a Trump rally. Last time it was in Colorado. Today it's in Las Vegas. Let's listen to a little bit what he has to say.
Manufacturing. Nevada unemployment rate is down 3.8%, tying a record low. When's the last time you saw the United States economy this good, right? This country's cranking right now. 7 million new jobs. Unemployment rate is a historic low, 3.6%. Obviously, as Americans, these are great things. This is what we want from our government. This is what we want from our president. When I talk about him, I like to talk about him a little more personal. This man who is not what some of the media portrays him to be. I have known him for 20 years. He is an amazing friend, loyal to the core. He called me a couple days ago and said, I'm going to Colorado. Will you fly to Colorado with me and take the trip with me? So I flew to Yeah, why not? So we flew to Colorado yesterday, and this man worked so hard. When we land there, it's freezing out. He gets off the plane, and there's people that have been standing there for hours in the cold. The president walked to everybody that was there, shook their hands, talked to them all, and that's what he did the entire time we were in Colorado. He cares about people. We have this slogan at the UFC. It's called "As Real as It Gets." Nobody fits that description more than our president, President Donald Trump. He's authentic. He's unfiltered. And there's no bullshit. That's right, buddy. And guess what? Apparently a lot of people love it. We love how he tells it like it is. We love the great deals he's making for us, and we love the way he fights for this country. A lot of people doubted him 4 years ago. Nobody's doubting him now, are they? He's gonna win 4 more years. And what we need is, for 4 more years, we all need to get out and vote and do our part. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the greatest times in the history of the country. Get out there and vote. Donald Trump, 4 more years. Thanks for coming out today.
All right, and that was a very energetic Dana White there, part of the UFC in Las Vegas, making that his really second home there. And you can see we're just moments away from a Keep America Great rally about to begin. Of course, we'll have full coverage. We have a second stream that we are going to launch and get this ready here for you on News Now in a little bit here, but wanted to show this to you a little bit on Fox 10 Extra. Taking a look right here at the markets. We're seeing a red day here today, no doubt, down 287 points there in the red. We'll continue to take a look at it and take our final break right here on News Now. Welcome back, everyone, here to News Now. Just a little time left with you as we're showing you the markets. Almost down about 300 points there in the red. And welcome back, everyone, here to News Now. We got Pilar Arias here with a preview of what's coming up next online.
Yeah, so we're about an hour away from this President Trump rally. I'm calling it unconventional at the Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that's because it's an afternoon rally. Hopefully it'll do well for us online. So come join us.
Yeah, so we haven't seen this too often where we're having a rally in the afternoon and it's in Las Vegas. It should be a fired up crowd there already. And this just caps off a 3-in-a-row rally from Phoenix to Colorado to now Vegas.
Yeah, I was just saying the other day, I can't believe how much President Trump travels. And I think we heard when he was here that he sleeps for like 4 hours a night.
See?
And it's like, wow, when you think about it. And you know, he gets through the airport a lot quicker, obviously.
That's true. That's true. Now, from when you were at the rally a couple of days ago in Phoenix, what is everybody doing right now as they prepare for the president to come? Are they just talking amongst themselves? What are they doing here?
Yeah, so it's all kind of a selfie mode. Everybody's just all talking with each other, prepping. They're passing out signs. They're getting their gear on, you know, if they don't already have hats and the like. And it's a big social community atmosphere right now. They're just all enjoying each other's company.
There you go. All right, we'll have a special stream loaded up for you in just moments online, as you'll see it in its entirety there in Las Vegas in just a little bit. So thank you, Pilar. Looking forward to that and much more. Let's take it out to Texas right now just for a little bit here. We have a roundtable discussion with Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and other leaders in Texas as they're talking about infrastructure. Let's see if we could get a listen here on News Now for you.
In addition to others that are stuck, as you know, because that's really important to a lot of small businesses into Texas. We're one of the biggest users of that loaning authority. So that's another area that's of great interest to me. And as you know, we're looking at dollars to
All right, so not the best audio associated with there, but you got Speaker Pelosi and many others there in Texas talking about infrastructure. Well, that's going to do it for us today here on Fox 10 Extra. Enjoy today, everyone, because tomorrow can really be a soaker. It's going to be a little bit cooler, and we could have widespread rain throughout the valley and are up north as well. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Fox 10 Extra. We really do appreciate it. Just know that News Now continuing all the way until 10 o'clock tonight, and that is where you will find the full rally of President Trump coming up in just moments here on News Now. Thanks so much for joining us here today, and we will see you all on Monday starting at 10 a.m. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy.